Western Conference Podcast, your boy Big Body Cisco here, my brother WESTAFA. 808 on location, and we had to get our brother in here. Mr. Johnny Sweet, how we doing, my brother?
What's good, Oos?
Hey. Come on, man. It's been a long time coming. And when I say a long time coming, we was like, every time we see each other, when you gonna come on the podcast? And now we here at home with you. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. It's hot right now.
Yeah. Oh, no. See, Wes, tell him, it ain't hot. We come from Vegas.
Okay,
it's Devil's Butthole over there. It's 120.
You win that one.
Because when we came over here, it was like, oh, it's not that hot. And it was like, oh, because Vegas is a different beast. But how you been, man?
Good, Oos. Staying busy.
Yeah, and when we say staying busy, you've been on the road and doing a lot of things.
Yeah, man. It's been a blessing so far this year.
Yeah.
A lot of flying, a lot of traveling, but good to be home for a minute.
Does it ever get old?
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah, it don't get old.
Because you hungry.
Hungry, man, and just grateful.
Yeah.
Attitude of gratitude.
But take us to, like, we always talk about how we do things here at the WC Podcast. Take us to the first time you kind of fell in love with music and kind of knew this was going to be something that you were going to do.
Man, I always grew up singing in church.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of the other all of the other usos that was on the podcast, all started in church.
Come on, man.
And my grandma was the choir director.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was 70 people in the church, but we all first cousins, second cousins.
When you got grandma as the choir director, you got to be on your shit.
Yeah, they were like, oh, how'd you learn how to harmonize? Oh, because we sitting on the ground with grandma with the slipper. That's why. Every sharp note, bah.
Yeah.
Every flat note, bah. So I got slapped a lot.
Man, but that was how you was raised in the church.
Exactly.
And then, but was singing something that you wanted to do, or you forced into doing it?
Honestly, we did it because it was in church, and then you walk. And this is Hawaii.
Yeah.
There's an ukulele at every building in high school, in middle school. So we were always jamming, and I never thought in a million years that this would be the career that I'll be doing for a living.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially when you're in school, because you playing some sports too. So sports was like a thing for you as well.
That was my first dream.
Yeah.
You know, traveling, going overseas. I mean, going to the mainland to play college ball.
Yeah. Pursuing
the NFL and then not working out. Coming home, I always had cousins already in the industry.
Yeah.
And they were always like, man, when are you going to come sing? And I was a little scared to start a new dream.
Yeah.
But I'm...
Because football was the main dream.
The main dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about that. Like when you kind of knew, like, I mean, everyone has that dream of playing football. Like for you, was that was like the priority at that time, right?
It was. I mean, you know, when you do something for so long, it becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
It's almost like it becomes your identity.
Yeah.
And so when it was over, it was like, oh no, what do we do now?
Because it's kind of hard to pivot from your dream like that too, especially when you're so vested in it.
Yeah.
Like was singing even an idea while you were playing football?
It was, I guess, like there was, you know, we had talent shows.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I was like, finding that balance where like you still want to look like, you want to look hard to your teammates.
Yeah.
You don't want them to know you be singing.
Yeah.
But when you're broke in college and you find out that the prize is $100 gift card,
you gonna go get that prize.
Go and try to get that prize. So like, I went to Mount Sac, SoCal.
Shout out Mount Sac, man.
Shout out all my Sac dogs, baby. And then I went to West Texas A&M in Texas.
Nice.
And both places I entered the talent show. Mount Sac I won.
Yeah.
In Texas I came second place to a yo-yo guy.
Oh, see, that was bad for the ego too, right? Bad for the ego.
Not gonna lie, he was cold though.
Oh, I was about to say the yo-yo dude had to be cold.
I was like, all right, I'll take this $50 gift card.
Yeah.
You can have the
second place, I up to. I can get a couple meals from there. So then after football's done, like, what was your pivot to kind of say you came back to Hawaii?
Came home, man.
Yeah.
Right off the top, I stayed out there for another 4 months, and I kept working out for a couple NFL teams.
Yeah.
And then when I wasn't getting the call, it's almost like, you know, reality starts to set in.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna come home and do what a lot of us Samoans who grew up in the streets do. I went back to the game room.
Yeah.
Bouncing at the clubs, doing everything. Man, me and Phil was bouncing together.
Yeah. Come on.
That was me and Phil. We listened to everybody else sing.
Yeah.
And we over here checking IDs, kicking all the drunk people out.
Wow.
And that's what we came back to because that's all we knew.
Yeah. But even like having fear, like growing up with that, like what was some of the artists that you guys were kind of already looking up to in the game that's been in Hawaii that you guys were kind of already, not mimicking, but kind of saying, yeah, I want to kind of do something like that?
I know for my generation, it was always Lost Coast sound, man.
Man, come on.
Siosi, Kivini,
yeah.
Langa, rest in peace to Moso, Boogie, man, Ole, which George was on.
Yeah,
with them. Fiji, of course, Spawn, Rebel Soldiers. All of those guys we grew up listening to, and that's why when you ask me if it gets old, it don't get old.
Yeah.
I still pinch myself when I take the stage to this day, and I've been rocking with for almost 3 years.
Yeah, And
shout
then
out our brother Boogie, man.
shout out Boogie, man. But we'll get to that. We're gonna get to the Boogie situation. But I want to get to like the bare bones of like when now you're doing, you know, you're bouncing with Fia and you guys are doing this. Like, where do you find your opportunity to kind of say, you know what, let me pivot and kind of not be the guy outside. Let me be the guy inside singing.
So, my cousins, Lapana, he's one of the coldest producers out here in Hawaii right now, and Clandon.
Yeah, shout out Pana, man. Shout out Clandon.
Both of them, they've been in the industry right out of high school. They went into music, and I went to play ball.
Yeah.
And we still kept in contact all the time. Like those are all my first cousins. So they would hit me up when they come out with Jimmy Weeks to LA, and I would go watch their shows. And when I moved home, they would be playing at like Shaq Mililani, which I used to bounce at.
Wow.
Or they'll be playing at Artistry, or they'd be playing somewhere else in Waikiki that I was working security.
Yeah.
And after the show, they're always telling me, bro, when are you gonna come and sing? And again, I'm just fresh out of football, and I'm like, honestly, I was really scared to start another dream. Yeah. It's like you working hard all over again. And one day, I was bouncing at the Shack, and they was playing over there, and they called me up on stage.
While you were working?
While I was bouncing. So I'm over here thinking my boss is gonna, I was like, no, my boss ain't gonna let me.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to go. He's like, get up there. I was like, oh,
so he kind of pushed you up there.
He pushed me up there. I sang Sweet Darling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The 808 anthem. And this is in my hometown, so everybody's going nuts.
Man.
And just that feeling.
Yeah, the nostalgia, that whole little vibe.
Yeah, just that feeling of just entertaining and people like, I'm just feeding off of their energy.
Yeah.
When I left there is when my mind started
going
in circles. Like, maybe this is something I could do, you know?
The EKM days, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So you said Mililani, the hometown. That's where you born and raised at?
Yeah, born and raised Kipapa in Mililani.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's also addicting, right? So like when you do get that taste of like, man, I'm singing and they're kind of like cheering for me to do it. Like, so where was your next move? Like, you're still working at the Shack, but now you kind of got this taste. Yeah. You know, it's like a drug, right?
It really is.
And once you get that drug, it's kind of like, okay, now what pieces that, because you seem like you already had pieces in place. Yeah. Because this is already like where music kind of, you can just do it and you have producers, cousins, and people already in the industry. When did you start tapping into your resources?
So this was like going into 2015.
Yeah.
So I went to a New Year's show to watch Clandon and Lapana play. And I met Ben Waller that night.
Come on. Shout out Les, man.
I met Les. And he came up to me. He was like, what's up, Bob? You Paula's cousin? I was like, yeah. Yeah, I heard you sing too. I was like, yeah, a little bit. He was like, we got a link then. And I was okay. And, you know, a lot of people tell me that. Yeah. But he actually came through. So
nice.
He got my number from Pana, called me up the next week, and we met up, got in the studio right off of Kinau, and we made a song right away.
Wow.
Right off bat, me, Les, and Pana went right into the studio, and I was nervous because I know who this black dude is. Yeah. I watch all the videos, and he got the blonde streak in his hair, and I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm a little starstruck. I was like, this is Boog's drummer. This is Fiji's drummer.
Yeah.
And we made my very first single ever, which is called Fairy Tale Lover, and it just kind of took off from there. And
man,
like you said, I had all the resources. So when I was more on the fearful side of starting a dream all over again, this time I was definitely a lot more blessed to be in the same circle as a lot of these guys right off the top. You know, I could honestly say there's a lot of guys who probably had to work a lot harder than I did to get to where they are. And I was just definitely blessed to be in that circle of influence, and just based off a relationship, talking story, getting to know each other, I got real close with a lot of these guys for real quick.
But even through you doing your first song with Ben Waller, like there's a difference between studio singing and like performance singing. Like, was that like a whole culture shock for you in the studio?
Culture shock and humble pie.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Because like honestly, like when you growing up in like I'm going through college, my young adult years, there's not a lot of guys that can sing. Yeah. So I'm the best in those circles. Yeah. Now I'm coming to the studio.
Little game, the game shit,
I'm like, boy, I suck. And it was super humbling. And like, to hear like, the studio don't lie.
Yeah. Oh, so come on.
You hear every flat note, every sharp note, and I'm like Pana is playing it back, and I'm like,
who's that?
I want to release that.
Go put that Melodyne on there.
Whatever you do, go ahead and put that on there. Yeah, it was such a process to really hear and be humbled, and at the same time, like I said, it's almost like it came easy in the beginning because of these relationships that I created.
Yeah.
But being in the studio was a reminder, like, no, you're gonna have to put in a lot of work.
But you still had the background, you know, growing up in the church and kind of knowing what the harmonies and melodies were. So that obviously had helped you, because now you knew when you were flat, because you knew from your upbringing.
Exactly.
So like that also helps you in the game that you were in there too. Yeah. When you have your first single, like, what's the whole plan for you? Like, is there a game plan, or are you just kind of doing everything on the whim?
There was no real structure to what I was doing. It was really just like, here's a single. All right, here's another single.
See what it do.
And I had a lot of guidance though from like Bimwala, from JP, those dudes who really got me started in the beginning. But again, it's just being a young kid right out of college, just like eating it all up. I got complacent real quick, and then like being around all these people that are up there already. Because literally within 1.5 years of me singing, I already started singing with Fiji.
Wow.
So it's like...
So you're thrown into the fire like pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I actually opened for Fiji at Artistry first time I met him. And it's crazy because Jarrell, J Keys always
shout out Keys.
I never met Keys either before.
Oh, wow.
It was at this show. There's the VIP section right here, but Fiji's back is towards the stage. He wasn't even going to watch me. Yeah. But we started singing, and he turned around, and...
it was the voice before the voice.
Yeah. So
he turned his chair around, huh?
I think it wasn't the first song that was flat. You know what I mean? At least that's why we come out guns blazing with the best song. And so I remember we were singing Cool by Anthony Hamilton, which has been in my set for years now. And Fiji turned around, and he was vibing with it. And then he ended up asking Bim who I was. Man. And the very next week, I was in the studio with Fiji.
Come on. And that's something that we talked about with Fiji, because Fiji is always a mentor. He always has his mentor cap on.
Always, man.
And it's like, it's almost kind of like the voice. When he does turn around and not trip off what's going on and he hears that voice, he kind of knows what he's listening for. Yeah. And for you to kind of have that transition with Fiji, like from there, it had to be something that, okay, I could take this. Was that the aha moment for you to be like, okay, now I'm with Fiji. Yeah. Now I could probably do something with this.
It was. And I think one thing too is like Fiji, he always... A lot of times Fiji will see something in you don't even see in yourself. Yeah. Wow. That's exactly what it was. Because again, young kid out of college, just playing music, and I was doing it for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. But then Fiji actually FaceTimed me on Bim's phone the following Monday. So Bim is FaceTiming me, and I'm like, oh, it's Bim. Yeah. And then it's Fiji, and I'm like, this is Fiji on my phone. Like, I was tripping. He's like, hey, Johnny, what are you doing today? We're in studio at Studio One in IL in Halava. And I was like, oh, I'm in there. Like, whatever plans I had, I've canceled it, and I'm on my way. And I went, and I was just like a fly on the wall.
Yeah, soaking it up.
When you got guys like Fiji and Lama in the studio, just two pure geniuses. I don't even know more than 3/4 of the things they was talking about, but I was just like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when you got Longa Savannah and you got Fiji in the same room.
And then you're on the Fiji's birthday stream, right?
Yeah.
You're there, Kivini and Longa.
Longa, man.
Man, how was that?
Again, just like I said, don't ever get old, because it's like, this is literally dudes that like after church at Kongai, with my cousins, and we was harmonizing to Take Me Away. We was harmonizing to Hard Times. We was harmonizing to Anything You Want. You know what I mean? All these songs, and it's like, when I'm like there with them, I'm just like, what is going on?
Different ball game at that time,
Different ball game, man.
But when you was coming up, who was also some artists like that was coming up in the game with you around the same time?
Fia. Yeah. Me, Fia, Mr. Shant, man, the Vaitai brothers. Yeah. They was coming up too. Who else we got in our generation, man? Little Jordy. Yeah. Anna V and Jasmine Nicole. Man, a lot of us are all the same age too. Nice. Yeah.
Because like that was something that you guys kind of said, okay, you know, with Fia doing his thing, like you guys, we've talked about this with Molly as well. It's always a friendly competition, but it is a competition. You being somebody that played football, you always have that competition in you, whether it's in the studio, whether it's on stage. Yeah. Like, what did you kind of find yourself in the pecking order when you kind of had these other young up and coming artists doing what they were doing?
Well, I think one of the number one things I had to do was take a step back and like reflect, what are some ways I can really differentiate myself from these guys? Because one, they're all talented. Yeah. Gifted writers, gifted singers. So it's really finding what am I really good at that really I could separate myself from them. And that's when I started to like what is it that I'm good at? And a lot of people would say it's the performing.
Yeah.
Okay, stop right there, because I got to ask you about these dance moves you were doing the first couple times I seen you before. Man, you had them, the sync, the choreography, and you were doing these moves on stage. I'm like, dude, who's this dude right here?
So Wes had told me, we had came upon you, and he was like, dude, we got to check out this dude, Johnny Sweet. So even before we heard your voice, we seen the videos, and I said, oh, this is a dancing motherfucker right here, ain't it? But we seen it, but it was like choreographed. It was like, it wasn't just some dude up there dancing.
Yeah.
You took some time to make this stage show kind of say, it got to stick out, from the rest. So tell us about how that came about. That's something that you put pride in.
So another one of the artists that came up same time around is my boy Drew Singer.
Yeah.
He's an artist from the West Side, but he's also a dance teacher.
Oh, shit.
So we had Island Music Awards coming up in 2019, and I was like, man, I'm opening that thing up. I need to set the tone.
Yeah.
So he came, and I met with him. It was 2 hours before our full rehearsal. I met with him at least 10 times, and he would go over choreography with me. And just, I've always been a dude who loved music, and I'm going to move regardless.
Yeah.
So I was like, why not add some structure and some actual dance moves to it? I ain't never danced for real in my life before, but I'm an athlete, so maybe it's something.
Yeah, because everyone was like, that's a big dude to be dancing over there.
That's another thing. A lot of people, they trip on that. It's like, that's why I said, like, man, how can I set myself apart from everybody else? It's like, you see this 300-pound dude dancing like Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
People might want to actually keep on watching what he's doing.
Yeah, man.
Because not just with the dance moves, then you hear the voice. Then it was kind of like, okay, now we're looking at total package here. Now we're looking like your charisma. Like me and Wes, we see a lot of artists. Like we've been with the Boogs, early Comic Kings. When we seen with you, like we was like, okay, this dude gets it. You know what I mean? There's some people don't get it. Like hate to break the news to some of y'all. Some of y'all don't get it. But when me and Wes talking in our experience, it was like you had the stage presence, you had the vocals. You that's kind of our checklist when we kind of do. And then Thank You came along.
Yeah.
Like tell us about how that, because that's how I was like, Thank You's the one. Like that's a classic. I talked about it with Fia. His Love Me is classic.
Yeah.
Your Thank You is another classic.
Yep.
But you got to tell us how that even came about.
Man, so my wife now was my best friend at first. And deep down inside, I had a little thing for her. She didn't know.
Yeah.
And she is actually the person who really brought me out of a really, let's just say, Ulavale stage of my life. And she invited me to church. She's the pastor's daughter.
Oh, wow.
So she invited me to church when she knew I was doing my Ulavale thing. And so I wrote Thank You, kind of like a tribute to her. More of like, man, thank you for being my person, for bringing me out of this muck I was in as I was headed towards a really bad direction.
Yeah.
And so I wrote that song. It's funny because you say Love Me is Fia's song. I wrote Thank You on Fia's couch. Yeah, over there in Evelyn.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I was like, Us, I got a song. He's like, all right, come over.
Yeah.
And it's just, two Usos on the couch, and his wife made us corn chowder with Spam.
I'll never forget.
Not the corn. I'm hungry too.
I'll never forget
Not
that.
the corn chowder.
Corn chowder I ever had in my life. And we wrote Thank You on his couch.
Wow.
Yeah, and like he was just, Fia is such a melody and harmony master. Like, he came up under Langa.
Yeah.
And so did I.
Yeah.
But like I would never ever be afraid to admit that there's levels to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll call Fia, what do you think about this harmony? What do you think about this melody? What do you think about this lyric? And then he didn't live far, so he said, just come over.
Yeah.
T's about to make chowder. I was like, oh, say less. So I got over there, we hop on the acoustic guitar, and he helped me with the melodies for Thank You.
Yeah, man.
And man, one thing people always tell me is that song is timeless. And that is my song that everyone else has that one song for them, and that's it for me.
Because I always say, like, that song, like, but you humbling yourself to kind of say, reaching out to like Fia, I think that's something that's missing in the game, because the egos are big. And when you have egos are big and you can kind of call your brother, kind of say, hey, let me know if this sounds right. Not a lot of artists that I've noticed don't do that. Yeah. Like what comes, is it because of the brotherhood that you have with Fia and the humbleness with yourself in the game for like that kind of makes you do that?
Yeah, I think it also comes from the athletic background.
Yeah,
It's like, even coming up in football, there was a lot of older cousins and brothers of mine who been in the game for a long time.
Yeah.
If I was reading something wrong into watching film and studying film, I would always call, hey, are you seeing something I'm not seeing? So it translates to music where like, man,
coachable.
I'm very coachable.
Yeah.
Because I recognize wholeheartedly I'm not the best.
Yeah.
And like even when it comes to singing, dancing, anything, writing, like I will always reach out to somebody if I feel like they might have a different and better perspective,
Yeah.
or they might be hearing something I'm not hearing. And Fia, Longa, Fiji has always been those guys for me when I was coming up.
Yeah.
And even Boog now, like knowing that I have access to a genius writer and melody master like Boog, like I know I could call him now.
Yeah.
Who's, what do you think about this? And you know, Boog will be the first.
We do that to Boog.
So speaking on that process, you do a lot of writing, all your writing, or do you have other people that write songs with you?
I write majority of my stuff, but I have written a lot of songs with Fia. I've written a lot of my songs with Clandon, with my boy Freddie Leon. He's on the come up right now.
Yeah, he's dope.
I've also written with Mr. Shant and one of my good friends from Nanakuli. His name is Kalani. He's helped a lot of artists write songs as well.
So I gotta ask you about this one line that I always wondered about. If you wrote it or who wrote it, we're gonna get it clear right now. The zone's a comfort line. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. When I heard that one, I said, "Ooh, Johnny's a bad boy."
Yeah.
I wrote all of what.
Come on, talk your shit, Johnny.
I will give credit where credit's due, but I wrote that song.
Yeah,
I wrote a song to myself.
I was like, "Oh man."
And it's funny because people always ask me about whatever, and I wrote that in college.
Man.
So I went hiking with some friends, and I was actually about to go on a date with this girl, but I had like $13 to my name. So we on the hike, and I'm like, what should I do? What should I do? And so they're telling me what to do, and then I'm like, okay. So I go on this date, and then that's how the song came about. Whatever is really like, how can we make the best of the little that we have when we're taking a girl on a date, right? So that's what I wrote Whatever about. Yeah.
Oh man,
come on, man. But speaking of writing, what are your thoughts on like, should an artist be a writer as well? Because there's some artists that don't write. There's some artists that just have the talent. Like, what's your take on being a writer?
And I won't ever knock artists who aren't writers, but can you really call yourself an artist?
Yeah.
If you aren't creating the art yourself, you know what I'm saying? That's why I think there's performers and entertainers, and then there's artists who do it all like that. And to me, a lot of people, whenever I do meet with artists and I try to help them write, one of the number one factors going into them and their inability to write is the fact that they just don't know who they are.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you don't know who you are, you have no vision or purpose for your life. What can you write?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I've come across a lot of those types of artists and entertainers.
Yeah.
But that's why a lot of
teach his own, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it says just singer. It doesn't say singer-songwriter.
See, But taking us back to like where now thank yous out there, and you starting to get, you know, your legs under you. Now you're starting to do shows like that. So now where is your career as far as kind of say, okay, thank you's huge. Like when thank you comes out, that can be one of those type of songs that kind of say, okay, I'm the dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how did you take it when you were into the game? Like, what was the level of where you were at that time?
Well, at the time, I honestly, just like how Fia said, he didn't think Love Me was going to blow up like that. I did not think Thank You was going to blow up like that. And we released it around the same time.
Yeah.
So I kind of released it and just put it out in the world, not really understanding what was going to take place. And when it exploded, I wish I had been ready to take advantage of that momentum that took place.
Because you never know when, like you said, you never know when that song is gonna hit. And I also always tell like these young artists, like you never know the song that you probably thought that wasn't gonna hit is gonna be the one that hits.
Exactly.
And like you just said, sometimes you're not ready for it or that particular song to hit. Then you're like, okay, now what do I do? Like when it did hit, did you kind of say, you know, you're not being not prepared for it, but what would you kind of say? Okay, now I can do something with because I have this momentum with Thank You.
Yeah, you know, I wish my thought process was that. Like, all right, it's time to take advantage, capitalize on the momentum that's taking place. But again, I got real complacent. Yeah. I got real complacent. Like, I think one of the stuff that was going on in my head was I'm traveling the world with Fiji as a background singer. Yeah. I made it.
And that was your complacency.
And that was my complacency.
Like you were okay with that.
Well, why I gotta keep releasing songs if I'm already traveling with Fiji? Yeah. But then it's like it comes up, humility takes over, and it's like that's Fiji. Yeah. That ain't you, dog. You know what I mean? And like I'm blessed that I had people in my circle to really check me like that.
Yeah.
And like really get me to wake up, because it's like, oh no, I'm good. I'm already going on the road with Fiji. What I got to keep releasing music for? But it's like being able to separate yourself as the musician.
Absolutely.
Which is the BV.
Yes.
And you're still an artist. You still got to make music. You still got to go to the studio. You still got to write. And so I wish I had known that and actually taken advantage of the momentum that took place after Thank You blew up.
Because I think
I think a lot of times people that are artists that end up in that position, they kind of ease off of their momentum or their trajectory and just focus on that, like you're saying. And
I mean, but when you're touring with Fiji, it's kind of like I can see where the complacency can set in because you're like, okay, we're doing this. Like, how did that even come about you touring with Fiji? It was just something because Fiji always be taking everybody on, like from Boog to JR to everybody. He's always taking somebody. So was that like kind of like, ooh, I'm about to go on the road with Fiji too?
Yeah, man, I was super excited, and Longa's the one who kind of chose the band and the singers at the time for Fiji. You know, Longa, he was Fiji's right hand man. Yeah, and so he called me and Fia to go on the road with Fiji, and I was like, wow. Bet. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And like we went to Samoa with you. Yeah. Man, what a time we had in Samoa. Samoa, we went to Japan. Yeah. And that was actually my first time ever in Samoa. Wow. And so when I went out there, I was like, ooh, at least I got you guys kind of like, because I had my brother that was out there, and you was like, hey, this dude looks just like you, but he speaks Samoan. But it was an experience, and kind of seeing you guys, you know, taking on with that. It was like, damn, we're in Samoa doing what we love. And that was kind of a thing that it always comes back to Fiji. I always tell all these stories always kind of loop back and circle back around to Fiji. And I think you just talked about with you and Fia being, you know, on the road with them that time. You got to figure he had JR and Boog with him, Spawn Breezy. A lot of these artists that are like, you know, up there right now, but they had them as the BVs. Yep. But everyone knew how to separate between doing that and just knowing that was Fiji kind of saying, okay, now it's your time to shine. That's why I love Fiji, because he doesn't have to do that. Yeah. But he does. Yeah. You talk about a lot of artists and singers who come up that are, or what do they call it nowadays? Gatekeepers. Yeah. Oh yeah. They got wisdom, they got the answers, but
they don't want everybody to know.
They don't want everybody to know. And a lot of, this is no disrespect to the OGs in the game, but a lot of them is just like, no, I had to work hard for this.
Yeah. They have to work hard too.
Yeah, they gotta work hard too. And I understand that. Yeah. I get it. But at the same time, like one thing Fiji always tells me and always told me is, Neff, it's important that when you make it to the top, you send the elevator back down.
Come on.
Now, I ain't asking for the whole answer key. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not saying give me all the answers. Yeah, we're going to have to put in work and put in the grind. But at the same time, if you could save an artist from themselves, why not share that wisdom with them? And that's always been Fiji. Always been Fiji with me and Fia. And he took us all over the world with him. And that's the thing, though, is like, he's going to give you this. Yeah. What are you going to do with it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, and you see a lot of these guys who have taken the momentum that Fiji has given them. Yeah. And they make something of themselves.
And I think that's a testament to Fiji as well, too, because I think he takes you guys to that certain level to see what the artist is going to do with that. Are they going to screw up this opportunity? Are they going to run with it? So that's like, we always talk about it, where Fiji kind of has that hand and kind of like dictating where everyone's careers are going, because he's kind of telling you, look, it's really on you. Yeah. I'm going to lead you to the water, whether you drink it, whether you make a cocktail out of it, that's on you. But at the end of the day, it's like you guys have this momentum where, you know, you and Fia are coming up, and like your songs are getting played on the radio. You're back home. Now it's starting to snowball. Yep. Now, where do you see yourself, like now the Boog situation comes up? Yep. How did that come about?
So I think that's another one of my boys who has always been in my corner. And who has always been putting my name in other people's ears. Yeah. In rooms that I'm not in conversations that I'm not. Bim is always talking about me. Yeah. And so that's another thing. Is like, now he's doing that. What are you gonna do with it? And I remember it was date night with me and my wife, and we was at the Her concert at Waikiki Shell. This was back in 2022, and Boog DM'd me. Yeah. And I already knew Boog. Yeah. But we weren't really that tight. I just knew him because Fiji and like just being in the same room often. But when he DM'd me, he said, hey, hit me up. And I was like, oh, cool. I didn't know what it was about. So I hit him up, and then he asked me if I would be willing to go and perform at Cali Roots with him. Wow. Me and Miley. Yeah. And I think Cali Roots was kind of like almost like our audition to see if that was going to be like a place for us for the next few years. And so rocking with Boog ever since then, man, again, it's another opportunity for me to get my name out there through Boog. As in singing BVs for him and supporting his act, people are always asking who we are. Yeah. And so I wholeheartedly believe that my brand and a lot of the relationships I've been able to formulate over the last few years have been because of Boog.
Man.
That Sunshine Girl, man. Come on, John.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Because that's what, like, we talk about that, like, when you have, like, the opportunity to work with a Boog, and then you start going over the set.
Yep.
Then it's like, oh, we're going to do Sunshine Girl, but, Johnny, you're going to do Peter's Part. Like, how does that thought process go with you guys? And for you to be an artist and be like, oh, wait, you want me to do this? Mm-hmm. And we're talking about, you know, catalog of Boogs that you guys kind of sift through and kind of say, okay, but we're talking about those hits. Yeah. So how do you take that part of saying, okay, I could do this part and I could do that part?
Well, one of the things is when someone gives you an opportunity like that, you really got to capitalize.
Yeah, absolutely.
And these are all songs that I already grew up singing, like at the cover sessions. Yeah. You know what I mean? In Rancho. Or just singing in college and like listening at the barbecues at the park. Like these are all songs that we've already been singing our whole lives. And when you get asked to do these songs, it's something I don't take for granted or take lightly, especially like Sunshine Girl.
Wait a minute. So did you say cover circles?
Cover circles.
Oh, here we
Johnny,
go.
we ain't mixed yet, man. What's going on?
You just said the magic word over here. You say cover.
That's all yours.
His cape starts flying in the wind like Captain Cobb over here.
No, so you know, Fia just moved out there to Vegas.
Yeah.
And the first show he did that we went to, he was like, "Oh, I'm not drinking." And then we brought a bucket. He's like, "Oh, I'll mix with you guys." I'm like, "Man, this whole time I didn't know Fia mixed."
Yeah. Come on over. It's a good alternative when you're trying to behave yourself.
Yeah.
Go on, keep the party going. I still haven't made that transition yet. I probably never will, but I don't know.
I don't know if you.
But take us like back to the book thing, because now that you have that momentum, what we start seeing is like now when you are your artist and you have that opportunity, Holo Holo Festival.
Yeah.
You had a slot on there. You was still doing your thing with Boog, but you also was there as an artist. You took full advantage of that.
Oh man.
Because when I say you took full advantage of it, because okay, yeah, you said we got Boog here, you know, closing, or you know, have all these different spots. Where you were at, it was kind of like, I don't care. When I talk to you, you're like, I don't care where they put me. Yeah. Which I think, you know, a lot of people can kind of be deterred by that. Like, oh man, I got to open up the show, or I got to do this and that. Yep. When I kind of went over to you and I was like, oh, I'm going to do your intro. You were like, cool. Like everything was like there for the taking. Yep. Like how did that opportunity for you? Because I'm not going to lie, that was one of the best sets of that weekend. Wow. But it was like in the beginning, you know what I mean? And it was a set where people were like, because you came back and did your thing, and then you came back with Boog, and then did your thing there. Now you was double dipping. Yeah. Which is still
Johnny's like, they're gonna know I'm
trust me. Because I'm not gonna lie, when you came, it brought a lot of people who were drawing, you know, people start just walking in, but your energy, like the energy was there. And when you have that energy, people start coming. Yeah. And then when we started seeing midway through your set, I was like, damn, it's packed right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And even Dan Sheehan, shout out Dan Sheehan for Holo Holo, he was like, Johnny be killing. So that, I think, was the attitude that I try to tell young artists. It don't matter where you are on a festival lineup, whether you're opening, when the gates come on, you on, you got to do what you got to do.
Activated beast mode.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us about that. Like when you kind of say, hey, Johnny, you're opening up Holo Holo. What's the thought process there?
Man, honestly, I was grateful. Yeah. Like I said, attitude is everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like opening, second, third, fourth, it really don't matter. I'm bringing 200% every single time. You never know who's watching. Yeah. You never know who's there. And like, I took it as
man, say that again. Hold on, John. Say that again. You never know who's watching. Come on, man.
You never know who's watching. And like, I'm not entitled to anything. So if you call me and you ask me to open, I will never take that for granted. Yeah. And you gonna get the same guy you would get if it was a headliner. Like, I was super grateful that I got to open it, because this is big, man. Yeah. This is like, did you see that lineup?
Yeah, the lineup was stacked.
Me, Tanel, Rebel Soldiers, LAB, Maoli, and Boog.
Yeah. All on one day.
All in one day. It could have been the opposite side of the spectrum. If I showed up and I didn't do well, it would have been talked about. Yeah. But on the other side of the spectrum, my whole attitude was I get to set the tone for the day.
And that's exactly what it did, because they were talking about your set. Everybody around the festival was like, man, did you see? I was like, no, I just got here. So now it's kind of like, that's like your best promotion at that time, right? Word of mouth, because it's genuine. It's coming from somebody that actually seen you. And that's what I kind of seen backstage and through the crowd, that I was like, hey, you guys missed his set. Yeah. Which now it's kind of like draws they don't want I can't miss that again. So that's why, like, going forward, I can kind of like see where everyone doesn't know there's levels. Yep. if you're the opener, everyone moves up, right? It's like a ladder.
Yep.
So like once you move up that ladder, I can already tell that you're one of those artists that's gonna do 200% at every opportunity.
Every time. Most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got to talk about one of my favorite songs from yours, the latest one.
Dancing Shoes.
Dancing Shoes.
Baby.
Come on, man. What's up with Dancing Shoes, bro? That's a banger.
It's funny. Everyone asks me, how'd you come to write that song?
Yeah.
And so me and my wife, we was at American Eagle shopping. And obviously it ain't got my size over there. So I'm just chilling, letting my wife do her thing. And one of my favorite songs comes on the radio. It's an old song by Clean Bandit. It's like, it's kind of like an electronic song. And I'm like in my zone. Like my wife's over here shopping and I'm just like, just doing that. And she's like,
take your time.
And then she turns around, she's like, babe, you really don't matter where you are, huh? I was like, I really don't care.
I'm gonna catch a vibe.
That's how Dancing Shoes came about.
Wow.
It's basically like wherever you are, no matter what time of the day it is, like once you hear that kick drum, once you hear the bass drop, it's like game over.
Man.
I can't stop moving. When you mix passion with ADD, Johnny Sweet.
That's the formula. Huh?
That's the formula.
And so who produced that one?
Pana, baby.
Pana, man. Shout out to Pana.
produced that.
Pana over there be doing his thing. He be like the Pharrell over here, the island demographic.
No, for real. And you hear the beautiful background vocals on there. That's Miley right there.
Hey, shout out Miley, man. Shout out sis.
Yeah.
But doing Dancing Shoes, because so now we were talking like with Maola, like where their whole thought process of, releasing a single, like what was your thought process of being consistent of, releasing music, releasing visuals to it? Like what's your thought process of that thing of, because social media world that we're living in, you kind of got to always keep your audience entertained at all times. How do you go about doing that?
You just got to stay content ready.
Yeah.
And honestly, again, like I said, you can't be getting complacent when you release music.
Yeah.
The times are moving. People want to see everything.
Visuals.
From the behind the scenes stuff to the creative process. How did they come about? So I was posting stuff of us in the studio. I mean, I don't ever shy away from showing the bad stuff too.
Yeah.
Like Miley was coaching me up, and I was so flat when I was trying to hit some note. I'll post that. I don't care. People love seeing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I ain't perfect.
They want to see the losses too,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
I mean, I got Mai drilling me in the studio, like, no, Elijah, run for me. And she's so flawless with her run. I'm like, this kid's gonna take me a few minutes. Let me get this run down real quick. And like people love that kind of stuff. They love content. And hey, big up the bro Glenn from Maholi, because I have been studying his format because it works.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
Absolutely.
like I gotta try my best to emulate something close to what he's doing, because it really is capturing everybody.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about it when we had him on. It's just that he's kind of doing his thing, but then it's like the formula is there, and it's anybody could do what he's doing. I mean, who knows what will happen, but you know what I mean?
It's not like a secret sauce.
Right. Yeah. It's not.
It's like because it's there. It's just whether you're going to be not lazy enough to go do it and put the footwork in. And I think that's one thing that we really took away from talking to G, where consistency is key. But he was saying something like 90% of it is business of what you do. 10% is your talent, which I kind of like really kind of stuck onto that, because he's right. In this industry, especially we're a niche market, right? So when you have little things like that, instead of not having the humility to kind of say, oh no, I still got a little buzz, I'm still going to do it. No, it's like do the work. Do the footwork, and you kind of studying what Glenn and Maoli's doing. It's like it's the proof is in the pudding. And I kept saying, like, when you're surrounded by people like Boog, and you got Maoli, and you have this whole circle with Bimwala, Pana. Now it's kind of like it's there for the taking. For you, where you and Fia and people that are in your circle now, it's kind of like, what are we gonna do with it? So like, what is the next step for Johnny Sweet?
Well, one thing like you said, the circle that I get to be a part of. There's absolutely no excuse. There's no excuse for me not to make it. So it's really not a matter of if I'm going to make it, it's a matter of when.
Got it.
And it's like, I got to put in the work. No one's going to do it for me. The formula's set. I got all the resources accessible to me. So it's really just a matter of continuing to stay consistent, keep releasing good music. You know what I'm saying? And like, the more you keep throwing good music out there, the more it's feelers. You get good feedback from people. You know what I mean? Like Wes, one of the things I remember you telling me at Holo Holo is like, we've been waiting for this. You know what I'm saying? So it's continuing to release more and more music like Dancing Shoes, where it's still it's a part of me. where that's who I am. Dancing shoes is my personality. I'm always be dancing. You could play Beethoven, and I will be blood walking to Beethoven.
Yeah.
I swear I will. And it really don't matter what's playing. And so it's like continuing to throw out music that people want to hear, that people gonna dance.
Yeah.
So do you have any plans to do a project like a EP or
solo album?
So I'm gonna continue with the singles, and so I'll release my next single again in August.
Nice.
And then September, and then November, and then I plan on doing an EP next February, March time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And doing gigs like that, because now I mean, of course, when you say like opening Holo Holo, now you kind of have your feet from under you, but now you got the momentum.
Yep.
Now you kind of keep going. So like when you doing, so like if they call you next year, oh Johnny, you're on Holo Holo, but you're not here. You're here.
Yeah.
Now you just continue to reinventing yourself like that too. So is that something that could challenge you're willing to take on?
Oh, for sure. I think one of the number one things is like, I just got to keep taking advantage of the opportunities that keep coming.
Yeah.
And keep working. I would hate to be the guy that opens on Holo Holo and then that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I was getting to. Yeah.
I gotta keep elevating. I gotta keep growing. I gotta keep releasing good music, and just keep networking.
Yeah.
You know what I've noticed? You don't really do collabs, huh?
I haven't. Yeah, it's not something.
Is that a personal preference?
No, I would love to collab. Me and Mr. Sean have been working on something.
Yeah.
Me and Mai have some ideas, and of course, me and my brother Fia got to get on one.
So any artists out there want Johnny Sweet, you can hit Western Conference.
We'll go and get that order for you. But what's a dream collab that you have? Because I always tell people, it got to be alive because I don't want to say dead, but what's a dream collab? Because I always tell people, you never know.
Yeah.
What's one of those collabs that you think that you might want to get on with?
Man, I would love. Well, obviously, there's the Usos that I have a relationship already. Like, man, I would love to collab with Boog.
Yeah.
We already wrote a song together. He helped me write a song earlier this year, and it's a banger. We'll release it soon. I would love to release one with Boog. I want to release one. I would love to do one with Caleb, with the boys from the Green. But guys that I don't have a relationship that I don't know, I would love to do a song with Romain Virgo.
Oosh.
Or Christopher Martin.
Come on.
So these are two dudes, Jamaican artists that I study like crazy because they're both showmen.
Man.
They're always dancing, always moving the crowd. I'm always controlling the crowd.
Mastering the craft.
You know what I mean? So those are two guys like, bro, I got like pages of notes on their performance with timestamps, everything.
Come on.
Like, look at what he's saying there. Like, just like football, like I'm always taking notes, always watching film, and that's what I do with those two dudes. And so,
that's big.
Man, Chris Martin, if you
hit him up.
You want the 300-pound version of yourself, let me know. I got you.
Before we get up out of here, for that young artist that's watching this podcast right now, what's the advice to him?
Biggest advice for the upcoming younger artists, you gotta know who you are, man. If you don't know who you are, if you don't have your identity, you will be running in circles in this industry and you will be pulled by everybody. But you gotta stay grounded in your faith, know who you are in Jesus, man, and everything will come and your purpose will come.
Come on, man. That's my brother Johnny Sweet. You're gonna see him headlining a festival one day, Western Conference, WESTAFA. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Let's go.